Hey guys, welcome to the workshop. Thank you for checking out our channel. My name is T and you're probably wondering what the workshop is. Well, we show you the simplest and most cost-effective way to brew your beer at home. Stay tuned, I'll see you in the shop. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on our very first episode of the workshop. My name is T, I'm going to be your host, and during this episode we're going to be brewing a Mexican lager. Special thanks goes out to Jose in LA for his submission of which we'll be brewing. It is a very tasty beer consisting of Saaz hop and roasted spring barley. Our brewers today are going to be Angel and Jesse. They're going to show you step by step how to brew this very yummy beer.
Thanks, T. Hey, my name's Jesse.
My name is Angel.
And we'll be your brewsters today. Hey Jose, we're super excited to try your beer. Let's talk about some of the equipment we're going to be using to brew your beer. First off, we have our kettle. Our kettle, personally, we've modified with a new spigot. This allows us to aerate our wort from here to our carboy during that transfer process. We've also added a sight gauge and marked it off at 5 gallons and 6 gallons. The reason we filled it up to 6 gallons today is so that we can allow for the evaporation during the brew process. You will lose some, and we ultimately want to land at 5 gallons. Some of our other equipment is our laser thermometer and our spoon. Also, your guys' kit today probably came with a muslin bag. We won't be using this. We have a permanent solution for that. This is our metal mesh strainer. Goes without saying, we do have a burner we're using down below our kettle today, and then we have our carboy behind us. This is going to be the resting place for 2 weeks at the end of our show. Let's get to brewing.
Hey guys, here's a couple things to help you out in your brew process at home today. One, we're extract brewing because it's the simplest and most cost-effective way to brew beer at home. Two, we're not going to do any cleaning of the equipment, but we'll be sure to make some videos for you guys in the future. And three, this show is for the person that's just learning how to brew beer. The beer beginner we like to call in the shop. And lastly, all of the steps and recipe will be down in the description below, with timestamps for you to jump forward to whichever brewing process you need to look at.
So how long does it take to brew beer at home? Well, here in the workshop we've got it down to about 4 hours. And you will too. Let's get to brewing. Step 1, steeping grains. Your guys' kit has already come with pre-milled grains. We've gone ahead for Jose's brew and already pre-milled 5 ounces of Caramunich barley, 3 ounces of Carafa 2. Again, your kit is already going to have your grains pre-milled. Alright, so steeping grains. Steeping grains, 2 things has to happen. 30 minutes has to pass, you have to reach 170 degrees in temperature, and both of those things have to occur. Alright, so when you put your grains in, if 30 minutes passes and you're not at 170 degrees, then you need to get to 170 degrees after 30 minutes time. If you reached 170 degrees prior to 30 minutes passing, hold there. Don't let it get any hotter. Hold there until 30 minutes has passed, and we'll see you in 30 minutes.
Alright guys, we've reached 30 minutes, we've hit 170 degrees, so now we're ready to remove our grains. Now, when we remove the grains, we'll want to make sure that we continue with the heat until we get a rolling boil, at which point then we'll be able to add our malt. We want to make sure that we get all of the juice and flavor into our wort and get a nice tasty beer.
Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and cut off the heat and we're going to add our malt. One thing to keep in mind when you're adding your malts is that you want to make sure A, your heat's off, B, that you stir it in really well and get it good and dissolved. Now, once it's good and dissolved, we'll kick our heat back on and we'll get it back to a rolling boil before we can get to the next step. Quick note, when you turn the heat back on, you will get a foam that tries to come up over the top of your kettle. When that happens, it's a natural process. Just cut your heat off, let it recede, and then again, cut your heat back on. It will not happen a second time. All right, let's go ahead and get the heat off. Go ahead and grab our malt. You want to take the spoon?
Sure.
Take the honors. And we'll go ahead and get our 7 pounds of Pilsner malt extract.
Nice. So at this point, we're going to start stirring, getting that flavor mixed in there.
Again, you want to make sure that your malt is completely dissolved.
Oh, that's good. I'll use that for my pancakes if I could.
All right, we'll keep stirring that. We'll get it good and dissolved, and we'll see you on the next step. All right, guys. So we're at a rolling boil. However, our foam is coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the heat for a quick second. We're going to let that foam recede. As I previously mentioned, you'll notice it kind of goes away pretty quickly. Once it's gone, I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat back on. We'll get back to a rolling boil, which will only take a moment or two. And then we'll go ahead and start adding our hops. Our hops, which is going to be step 3 of our process, is a 60-minute boil where we're adding hops at the beginning for bittering and at the end for aroma. Today, we'll be using Saaz hops for both the bittering and the aroma. Jose, your beer requires 1 ounce of Saaz hops in the beginning for bittering, 1 ounce of Saaz hops in the last 5 minutes of that 60-minute boil for aroma. All right, guys, we are back to a rolling boil. We're going to go ahead and start the hop process I previously mentioned, adding 1 ounce of Saaz hops. We'll start a 60-minute timer. Angel? Awesome. 55 minutes from now, we'll be adding our second hops for aroma, and we'll see you then. All right, guys, welcome back. We are now at the last 5 minutes of our hop 60-minute boil. Previously stated, we'll be adding 1 ounce of Saaz hops to the end of our boil for aroma. We'll also be adding a clarifier to clarify our beer. Let's go ahead and get those into our wort. These are going to sit in our wort for the last 5 minutes. Also, once that 5 minutes is up, we'll need to chill our wort. Those of you at home will probably be using a bathtub, putting your kettle in a tub, bathtub, sink, something to that effect. We'll be using a more advanced method, which is called an immersion chiller. In this case, we're going to go ahead and add our immersion chiller. We need it to sit in our water for the last 10 minutes. Make sure that it's nice and clean. What this does, guys, is we're going to pump water from a cooler. We're going to run it through these copper coils. We're going to expel that water into this bucket for about 10 minutes before we start circulating the water through our cooler. Those of you at home, ice bathing is what it's called. You're, again, going to use your sink or tub. You're probably going to have to use ice water 2 or 3 times changed out to get down to your desired pitching temperature. In our case, our White Labs WLP 940 Mexican lager yeast requires us to get down to about a 60-degree temperature. Your yeast may require a different temperature. Please refer to your yeast for the optimum temperature. So we're going to let this sit in here for the last 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back to get into the wort chilling process. All right, so our 5 minutes is up. Our aroma hops are done doing their job. We're going to go ahead and pull them out. Let that drain out in there. We're going to go ahead and set these to the side. We're going to begin our chilling process, and we'll see you in about 30. All right, guys, welcome back. We now have our wort down to our desired temperature, so we can transfer our wort from our kettle to our carboy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and remove our immersion chiller. I'll go ahead and take this out. We're going to set it to the side. And now we can begin the transfer of our wort to our carboy. Let's go ahead and get this started here. We're going to let that fill up, and I'll see you when we're ready to pitch these.
Alright guys, now that our wort is aerated and it's in our carboy, it's time to add some yeast.
The yeast we'll be adding today is White Lab's WLP 940. This is a Mexican lager yeast and should set this beer apart from all the others. Angel's going to add our yeast while I discuss your airlock. Your carboy should have came with an airlock. The airlock, if you notice, has some fluid in it. This is going to allow CO2 to escape from your carboy without letting any oxygen in.
Alright guys, now that we've added yeast to our wort, it's now officially beer.
Guys, we have beer. Over the next few days, you're going to notice this beer develop. At the top of the beer, you're going to notice some foam. That's called krausen. At the bottom of the beer, it's called trub. It's going to look like a patty. That clarifying tablet we included earlier in the show is going to grab the particulates from the top of our beer and drag it down to the trub, thus creating us a clear beer.
Now remember guys, this process on average can take 14 days before we can move to the next step, racking it up. Back to you, T.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Workshop. We'd like to give a special thanks to Jose out in LA for his submission, a Mexican lager he likes to call Underdog. We'll let you know how that tastes in a couple of weeks. We'd also like to recognize White Labs and More Beer for the ingredients that were provided for us to use for his particular brew. Guys, if you really enjoyed this episode of the Workshop, make sure you hit that like button, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe and ring that bell so you're up to date with the latest episodes. And this goes without saying, if you haven't gone to yourwort.com and made a submission of the beer of your design, well, you might want to do that now. Who knows? We may be brewing your beer in the next episode. Guys, as always, teamwork makes the dream work.